Before we set sail into the legend of the Phantom Ship, Captain, make sure you subscribe because once you board this channel, there's no turning back. Hit like if you're brave enough to face the unknown, and comment below if you dare to step on a ship cursed to sail forever. The villagers swore the ship was destroyed 50 years ago, yet there it was, gliding into the harbor under a blood-red sky. Fishermen froze mid-step, nets slipping from their hands, as the black-masted vessel appeared without a single ripple in the sea. No crew called out, no anchor dropped. The sails, ragged as though shredded by storms, still billowed with an unnatural wind. But it was the figure at the helm that made hearts stop. Tall, cloaked in shadows, his face hidden beneath a captain's hat that gleamed with salt-crusted silver. They called him Captain Varos, the man cursed to forever steer the Phantom Ship. Long ago, he was a ruthless commander who betrayed his crew in search of forbidden treasure. Legends claimed the sea goddess punished him by binding his soul to his vessel, doomed to sail eternally, neither alive nor dead. Parents whispered warnings to their children. If the Phantom Ship calls your name, your spirit will never return. But now, for the first time in half a century, the ghostly vessel returned to the mortal shore. Young Elias, a dockhand with restless dreams, could not look away. Unlike the others who trembled and prayed, something inside him pulled toward the ship. The captain's gaze, though hidden, seemed locked onto him. The harbor grew silent as though the ocean itself waited. Then, without a word, the ship's bell tolled. Once, twice, 3 times. Every villager fled, every candle in the town extinguished. Only Elias remained, drawn by a force he could not resist. He stepped forward, his hands shaking, his breath caught between terror and wonder. The gangplank lowered by itself. At the end of it stood the Phantom Captain, motionless, yet radiating an aura of command so powerful it seemed to bend the night air. Elias felt his heart hammer. He knew he should run, yet his feet moved closer. The captain finally spoke, his voice like waves breaking over stone. "Your blood carries the debt of betrayal. You are chosen." Elias staggered back, unable to understand. But before he could flee, the world around him shifted. The docks faded. The villagers' shouts vanished. He was no longer on land. He was standing on the deck of the Phantom Ship. The sails groaned, the wheel turned, and the ship pushed into waters that shimmered like liquid darkness. Elias realized the truth with dread. He hadn't just seen the Phantom Ship, he had boarded it. The ocean stretched endlessly, but it wasn't water that surrounded the Phantom Ship. It was something far more terrifying, an abyss of stars, black currents that looked like the night sky itself flowing as liquid. Elias gripped the railing, his stomach twisting as he realized this ship did not sail on mortal seas. The captain stood at the helm unmoving, his shadow stretching unnaturally across the deck. When he finally spoke, the words vibrated through the planks as though the ship itself carried his voice. "You wonder why you are here," Captain Varos said. "You carry the blood of those who betrayed me. You cannot run from your lineage." "My lineage?" Elias stammered. I'm just a dockhand. I've done nothing to you." The captain's head tilted slowly, and a faint gleam revealed his hollow eyes that burned with a pale, ghostly fire. "Your ancestor was my first mate. The man who swore loyalty, then abandoned me for greed. His betrayal condemned me, and through his bloodline the debt endures." Elias's breath caught. His grandfather had spoken of a distant relative who disappeared at sea, but no one believed the tale. Could it be true? The ship lurched suddenly, cutting through a current of mist that curled like claws. The air grew heavy with whispers. Elias turned, heart pounding, and saw them, ghostly silhouettes of sailors. Their forms wavered like smoke, their faces twisted with anguish. Shackled in spectral chains, they lined the deck, watching him with hollow, accusing eyes. "These are my crew," Varos said, his tone laced with grim pride. "Men bound to me until the debt is paid. They thirst for freedom, but freedom comes at a cost." One of the spirits stepped forward, his mouth opening in a silent scream. Elias recoiled as the figure's hand nearly touched him, ice spreading through his chest before it faded back into the mist. "What do you want from me?" Elias demanded, his voice breaking. The captain raised his arm toward the horizon, where a single light flickered in the abyss, a distant island glowing faintly gold. "You will sail with me to the Isle of Forgotten Souls. Only there can the curse be broken. But beware, boy. Every step will test your heart, and the sea will hunger for it." Elias felt torn between terror and defiance. "And if I refuse?" The captain's smile was a slash of shadow. "Then your soul becomes part of my crew, forever." The ship groaned as though alive, its sails filling with phantom wind. The journey had begun, and Elias realized with a chill that escape was no longer possible. The phantom ship sliced through the black currents, until the horizon blazed with unnatural gold. There it was, the Isle of Forgotten Souls, glowing faintly against the eternal night. The air grew thicker as they neared, charged with whispers Elias couldn't understand. Each word felt like it clawed at his mind, dragging memories from places he didn't know existed. The closer they came, the more the island revealed itself. Jagged cliffs rose like teeth, and at the summit stood a ruined fortress crowned by a single flame. That flame pulsed in rhythm with Elias's heartbeat, as though calling him forward. Captain Varos's hand tightened on the wheel. The island hungers. It devours the memories of all who step upon it. But if you can endure, if you can reach the flame, the curse may yet be broken. Elias's voice cracked. Why me? Why not you? The captain turned, and for a fleeting second, Elias saw something beyond the ghostly fire in his eyes. Weariness. I have walked those sands 100 times. The island rejects me, but you with mortal blood may yet survive its trials. The ship anchored without anchor, mooring itself by unseen force. The gangplank lowered, and Elias's legs trembled as he stepped onto the beach. The sand was cold as ash. Behind him, the crew of shadows watched in silence, their chains rattling with expectation. At once, the whispers in his mind grew louder. Shapes formed in the mist, drifting along the shore, his mother calling his name, his father's stern voice, even childhood laughter. He spun around, but each image dissolved like smoke. The island was reaching inside him, pulling at the threads of his soul. Climbing the path toward the fortress, Elias fought to keep his thoughts intact. At one point, his vision blurred, and he saw himself as an old man, hunched and broken, alone in a crumbling village. He blinked and the image vanished, but a shard of despair lingered. At the gates of the fortress, he found carvings etched into the stone. They were names, hundreds, maybe thousands. Some were half erased. Others burned into the rock as though seared by fire. His stomach turned when he spotted his own surname among them. A voice echoed from the shadows. Turn back, Elias, the flame takes more than it gives. It wasn't the captain. It wasn't the crew. It was himself, another Elias, pale and trembling, staring back at him with hollow eyes. The doppelganger raised a shaking hand. Every soul who comes here meets their own shadow. Fail this test and you will join the island forever. Elias's fist clenched. Fear gripped him, but so did defiance. If this was the trial, he would not surrender. Step by step, he pushed into the fortress where the flame awaited. The ruined fortress swallowed Elias in silence. Dust drifted like falling stars, and the walls pulsed faintly with golden veins of light, as though the island itself was alive. At the center of the chamber stood the flame, a tall, twisting column of fire that burned without smoke, flickering in colors no mortal eyes should see. Blocking his path was the doppelganger. It looked exactly like him, down to the scar on his hand and the fear in his eyes. Yet its voice was sharper, more venomous, dripping with truths Elias had tried to bury. You are weak, the shadow hissed. You dream of adventure, but you hide on the docks like a coward. You want freedom, yet you cling to the safety of nets and ropes. You will fail, just as your ancestor failed. Elias shook his head, but his chest tightened. The words cut deep because they rang true. The shadow stepped closer, its form shimmering. You carry their curse, Elias. The blood of betrayal runs in you. You will doom them all, just as he did. No, Elias whispered. He wanted to fight back, but the more he denied, the stronger the shadow seemed to grow. Its eyes glowed, its voice thundered, and soon it towered over him like a monster, echoing every fear he had ever felt. The flame roared, feeding off his doubt. Elias dropped to his knees. Images flashed before his eyes, his family, his village, his ancestors' sins. He saw Captain Varos betrayed on a stormy night, his crew turning against him, his ship swallowed by waves. The sea goddess's curse echoed, like a scream, betrayer's blood shall never rest. The shadow leaned down, whispering into his ear, You are the same. You will betray again. You will never be free. Tears burned Elias's eyes, but in that moment something shifted inside him. He realized the island wasn't showing him fate, it was showing him choice. The curse did not live in blood. It lived in fear, in surrender. He clenched his fists, forcing himself to his feet. His voice trembled, but it carried strength. I am not my ancestor. His betrayal is not mine. I choose my own path. The shadow snarled, its form unraveling into smoke. The flame flared, recognizing the strength of his words. Elias walked forward, every step burning with pain, yet each one making him stronger. When he reached the flame, it bent toward him like a living thing, wrapping around his hand without burning. Power surged through him, light flooding the chamber. The shadow gave one final scream before dissolving into nothingness, and then silence. The curse had shifted. Elias had passed the trial, but outside the Phantom Captain waited, and he would not give up his fate so easily. The fortress shook as Elias emerged. The flame still coiled around his hand like a living ribbon of light. The golden glow burned against the night, casting away the whispers of the isle. The spirits on the beach stirred, their chains rattling, their hollow eyes fixed upon him with a desperate hunger. The phantom ship loomed beyond the shore, its sails writhing against the windless sky. At its helm stood Captain Varos, his gaze locked on Elias. For the first time, the captain's face was fully visible, gaunt, pale, carved with centuries of torment. "You have taken the flame," Varos said, his voice breaking the air like thunder. "But it is mine by right. Hand it over, boy, or your soul will be bound to me forever." Elias's pulse hammered. The flame pulsed in his hand, and he felt the truth. It could either free the crew or seal the curse anew. This was the moment the island had prepared him for. He stepped forward, his voice steady. "Your curse began with betrayal, Captain, but it ends with choice. I will not give you this flame." The captain's shadow lengthened, twisting into monstrous form, his cloak billowing like storm clouds. "You dared defy me?" His words sent tremors through the ground. The spirits wailed, chains snapping as they surged toward Elias. But the flame flared, casting a radiant shockwave. The spirits froze mid-charge, their forms softening, their chains melting away in golden sparks. For the first time, their eyes shone with peace instead of anguish. Varos staggered, his face cracking with disbelief. "No, they are mine. They swore to me. They were never yours." Elias interrupted, his voice rising with defiance. "You kept them here, trapped by your greed. But their freedom is my choice, not yours." The captain roared, lunging forward. His hand struck Elias's chest, cold as the abyss. For a moment, Elias felt his soul being torn away. But then the flame surged through him, flooding his body with warmth. He thrust it forward, pressing it into Varos's chest. The captain screamed, a sound that shook the heavens. His form began to unravel, peeling away into smoke and salt. His eyes wide with something Elias had never expected: relief. As Varos collapsed, his final words drifted like a whisper on the wind. "At last. The sea takes me home." The phantom ship groaned, its sails dissolving, its hull crumbling into mist. One by one, the freed spirits ascended like sparks into the starry abyss, their chains gone. When Elias opened his eyes again, he was back at the harbor, the dock creaking beneath his feet. The sea was calm. The phantom ship was gone. Only the echo of the captain's last breath lingered on the wind. Elias looked at his hand. The flame was gone, but its warmth remained in his heart. He had faced the curse and broken it. Yet deep in the distance on the horizon, he thought he saw a shadowed mast, watching, waiting. The legend of the phantom ship captain would never truly die. And so the phantom ship captain's curse was broken. But legends like these never truly fade. Somewhere beyond the horizon, shadows still stir, waiting for those brave or foolish enough to follow their call. If this tale pulled you into its dark waters, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next story from the depths. Like this video if you felt the chill of the captain's last breath, and leave a comment with the legend you'd dare me to uncover next.